Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk to you guys about the concept of trying to instill change within a person and at what point you should stop trying to do so. So I'm sure this is a situation in which we can all relate to. We all know people with whom which we've trying to convince them like, hey, you need to stop doing this, you need to start doing this. You're trying to instill some type of or some form of change within them. And that's a good thing to do. That's a great thing to do. If you're friends with someone, it is your obligation to do so. If someone is your family, it is your obligation to do so. You need to try and change them. You need to try and tell them if they're doing something wrong, like, hey, this isn't the path and this isn't good for you. But there comes a certain point where your words are futile, where your words hold no meaning or no significance. And it is at that point you have to realize, like, hey, my words aren't going to get through to this person. Because the truth about change is change comes from within. Until a person knows that they are in the wrong, until a person knows that they are in trouble, you can't really convince them otherwise. They need to acknowledge and recognize that themselves. A bird that's been trapped in its cage its whole life. To that bird, the outside world is the real cage. You can try convincing that bird, but until the bird itself acknowledges that the outside world is the true freedom from the cage, it will never change. It will never want to change because it doesn't believe that it is in danger. And that's not to say that you and I are perfect in our judgments. Maybe we are wrong, maybe the other person is right. But oftentimes, when someone is going through this and they're refusing to listen or refusing to adopt the change within them, we have to think, okay, what can I do from this point? And often the greatest answer is to just let them trial and error. Because the greatest lessons learned in life come from the greatest losses. So that being said, if you see someone and their inability or their refusal to change, let them go through with it. Stop trying to convince them. Let them learn the hard way. And that might sound like a bad friend, but trust me guys, that is being the best possible friend you can be. Because most people, they learn from experiences, not from words. You can tell someone all this, and maybe deep down they might acknowledge it a bit too. They might recognize it. But that doesn't mean you're going to implement it because they haven't felt the consequences of the actions. The thought of consequences versus the reality of consequences are on two entirely different spectrums. They don't align, they aren't similar. And so that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's why your words aren't going through to that person because they may be able to comprehend the consequences, but not to the fullest extent until they feel it. So that's why if you have a friend which is in this situation where they're not listening to you, they're not listening to their change, let them go through with what they're doing. Obviously keep it a bit on a leash, but let them go through it. Let them learn from the loss. Because sometimes that is the best way to start change. And maybe that loss is what they need in order to create like a chain reaction of more changes. So yeah, if someone's not listening, if they keep repeating and doing what you keep telling them not to do, and you're saying this for the goodness from the goodness of your heart for their sake, let them go through with it. Let them go through with it so they can learn. And once they learn, hopefully they will improve for the better. That's my honest advice, guys. I hope this was a benefit. And please drop a like and a subscribe. Thank you.